In the last video, we have created our MCP server for the FMP Financial with exposing 8 endpoints. And we have tested locally with our MCP inspector. Now, to be able to use this with our Copilot agent, we have to have the MCP server hosted somewhere. And we are going to use the Azure App Services to host it. Now, Microsoft has provided a very detailed instruction on how to publish app services, especially as the MCP servers. And because we were using Python in the last video, we're gonna have follow these Python instructions to integrate app services as MCP server. And we will just copy these links to our agent and start a new chat. Before we start, to use the app services from Azure, you need to make sure you have the subscription with a paid service and also this resource group to attach with it. Now you can see right now I have no app services created here. And if we have a look at our resource groups, we will have to probably create a new resource group, and I will tell it to use a specific subscription. Back into our chat window, let's start a new chat. Now make sure your code base is ready and install the extension for Azure for the VSCode, and let's just say the following prompt. Let's use Azure CLI tool to deploy the MCP server. Create a resource group and use subscription Azure subscription first, which is the name of my subscription. And I also pasted a couple of links from Microsoft documentation. After deployment, show me how to test MCP server using Postman. And when you click on this configure tools, make sure you have selected the Azure resources. Otherwise, it won't be able to create it for you. So let's go enter. So it's working through. I will help you deploy MCP server to Azure App Services. Now also make your window ready because it will ask you for authentication to log into your Azure services. So let's wait for that to happen. Okay, so first it's gonna set our subscription. I'm gonna allow for this session. I'm actually pretty comfortable, so I'm gonna allow for all. And watch the magic happens, how it's gonna run all the Azure CLI tool commands to deploy it to our app services. Well, back in here, I'm just gonna switch back to our app services to show you that we have nothing deployed yet here. And this is also the window that we will wait for it to be called upon to authenticate. You can see it's creating a resource group. Maybe we have a look at resource groups, see whether it's been created. Anything new there? Not yet. And it's creating an app service plan and it's using the B1. I think B1 is the one with the basic plan. Let's create an app service plan to deploy that. Okay, great. And what it says is there's some error, operating cannot complete without additional quota. Maybe we need a better plan. You can see it tried F1, it's, I think the front line or something, and also failed. Still working through. I can see there's a quota limit issues. Let me check what existing resources is available. Okay. These are different Azure App Services plan and its API limits. I don't know which one it actually used for us. It looks like it's gone through. Hopefully it won't cost us too much money. And the web has been created successfully. It's configured for deployment. Still going, and let's have a look at our resource group, see whether it has been created. So go back to our app services actually. Maybe we already have a look. So our web app has already been created and it is using the basic tier and create a resource group for us as well called RG FMP, and it is right under our subscription, the one we wanted. Okay, so it looks like it's all good, up running. And let's wait for this to complete and see what's the next step. If you wonder what pricing tier we are running for your web services, you can click on this App Service Plan and then go to App Service Plan. You can see we are on B1. Now what is B1? Click on Scale Up. You can see the B1 is for dev and test, and it's just the next one up. So above the free. The Cloud 4.5 has chosen one of the cheapest one for us. And there's not for production. You can see these are production tier. We're on the B1. Before the deployment, you probably should have tell the agent what location you wanted to use as well, based on whatever is closest to you, because it wouldn't know. So it just picked Canada Central for me. This is the resource group name, and you can see it is going through the web app deploy. It picked up the correct resource group, and it has zipped the file, which is this app. This code base has been zipped, and we are waiting for it to be deployed. And looks like we are still waiting. The build has been successful. Let's see how long it's gonna take. Okay, it's been going on for almost 10 minutes, and you can see it has gone through some errors and some trial, starting server, MPI key not found. Anyway, let's stop it, and we'll let it troubleshoot. Okay, let's just say I have stopped the deployment. It seems like the app is deployed with some error. Here is from the stream log. So what you can do is go to the app services and click on this log stream, and it will connect to it. At least that means your server is good. And then we just copy these logs, right? I don't know, is there any error? Looks like there's some error. Let's just copy this log to help you troubleshoot. Unfortunately, we lost those console errors. That's fine. We just send these and see what happens. The error says error loading ASGI app, which is a synchronized server gateway. Looks like attribute not found, so maybe missing some module. Let's come back to it and see what is found. Okay, so it's done something, restarting the server, update the correct web app. The MCP object is a FastMCP instance, not a module. For Azure App Service, we'll need to use ASGI app directly. And let me update the startup command. So the startup command had some error. Now what is startup command? In your web app in Azure Portal, click on this settings and then go to the configuration. Under the general setting, that's where the startup command is. But I don't know how to find it under this preview. So let's go back to the classic view, and you can see the startup command. Basically, when this web app is hosted on Azure, you want Azure to start a web server, and that command is used to start up your web server. And this is mainly for Linux, because as you can see, this is a Linux-based web server. So let's come back to the configuration under general setting and inspect what the startup command is. Looks like that's what the problem. Here you go. So this is startup command. Now we didn't look previously what was that before. Server MCP. Coming back to our agent, looks like it has already fixed it and already deployed it. So what we saw just now, it might be the new startup command. We didn't see the old one. I've successfully fixed deployment issue and created comprehensive testing documentation. Okay, so it's done it. And this is the new startup command. See whether we can see the old one. we can ask it. And now we've also created this Postman testing command because it can run the Postman for you. So here there's a detailed instruction how we're going to test it using Postman. And before we do that, let's just quickly ask that. So before we test with Postman, can you compare the old and the new startup command and explain how you fixed it? Right, so for us to understand what happened. Okay, from here you can see the old startup command is actually server column MCP.run with the course, and that's what's giving the error. And now just server MCP, and it says the MCP is a fast MCP instance and not a module or class. Okay, so that's how it's fixed it. And now looks like we are running again with this new command, and we will go through the Postman script in here. Just follow through, see how we're going to test it. Make sure this now Azure hosted MCP server is live and functioning before we move to the Copilot Studio. Now before we proceeding, I actually saw all these reds in the streaming log, so I copied it to our agent and asked for analysis. It actually identified the error. The new error says FastMCP object is not callable. This means MCP instance is not directly callable as ASGI application. We need to access the actual ASGI app from within the FastMCP instance, and actually it found issue and it corrected. Now just a quick explanation, what is the ASGI? ASGI is open it up here, a synchronized server gateway interface. It is a standard interface for a synchronized communication between the web services, which is our MCP server, and the Python web application. Okay, so it's a successor to the old WSGI, the web server gateway interface. Looks like we got a fireworks here, and the server is working correctly, and it's being solved. And if we switch back to our stream log, I don't really see a lot of errors anymore. So let's move on to test our MCP server using Postman. In the testing guide, it actually listed testing for all 8 tools. We're not going to do that. We're just going to test maybe 1 or 2. So the first one, listing available tools. This is endpoint. Now this is the header. Previously, it didn't have the content type. It didn't work. Sorry, it didn't have accept. And when I checked on another chat, it says make sure you need to have that. So make sure we all have all these before you can test it. Go to your Postman, start a new session, change to post with our MCP endpoint, and then now you're going to go to header. We want to copy the accept, and that's the key. Application JSON and text. Content type, we'll do that. Also as application JSON. And next we're going to do the body. Copy, paste that. In the body, you're going to click on raw. Make sure you're in the JSON format. And this is the body text for querying all the tools. Now, if we have a successful post, we should get all the 8 tools back. Let's go send. Here we go. This is our response. Do we get all the tools? Search symbol, and then we get search name, get quote. Okay, excellent. Looks like we got everything back. We can try another one. Maybe let's try that symbol, that stock quote. Historical price. Okay, let's do this historical price, and we just need to simply change the body. Everything else remain the same. Change your body, and we are quoting Apple. You can change the other symbol if you want. go send, and error executing. So I'm not sure why says it's invalid API key, but looks like this is a response from FMP, not from our code. And this is what the agent thinks what has gone wrong. We need a new API key. So if we go back to our FMP financials, stock code API, right? So let's copy this. Actually, now we clicked on it. This is the endpoint, and this is the same key, and it worked. So let's challenge our agent to test it again, because it already did this, right? It tested directly, and it got this response, invalid API key. Let's say if I browse the following request directly in a browser, I receive a valid response. Please test directly as well. And I'm pasting my request, which has given me a valid response. You can see from our browser with our API key attached in the end, we got the response back, right? So why when it did this, API key, APL question mark API key, we did not get the response back? APL API key, maybe there's something very similar. So it's going through its checks. I see two issues. Issue one, wrong API key correct characters. You have two different API keys. Oh wow. So actually there's something different. So it is different keys. I didn't even notice because it looks same at the beginning or the end. So let's just make sure you use this one and update our code. Let's make sure we use the correct API key. I'll paste it here. But base URL, this is wrong. We need to challenge the AI again. The base URL is stable, not API/v3. If you have a look at documentation, clearly it says the base URL is / this one, not v3. So we cannot let it change it because it's wrong. According to official doc, the base URL is, and let's paste this one in again. So do not change it. Okay, let's see what happens, whether it will make the correct changes. So the agent mode has failed again, but looks like it has done deployment and just failed to restart the server. And if we have a look at our server, it looks fine. So let's just try it. If we go to our Postman, we're using a get quote, keeping our headers, and then let's go send. Okay, so it looks like now it's working. Our MCP server that's hosted on the Azure web app is working. It's getting response. Let's try a different endpoint. This one will be get company profile for Apple, and we get a response back. That's great. So that is the end of the tutorial on how we can publish an MCP server and have it hosted in Azure as web app. As you can see, it's a very well documented process, especially for those who understand Azure Web Services and understand how MCP server works. It's a quite straightforward process. But for those of you who don't know much about coding and just flying blind, relying heavily on the coding agent, you need to be very careful, because as we all saw, the AI has hallucinated quite a lot. And so you have to constantly check back on it. Make sure it follows the guardrail. Make sure it follows documentation you want to follow. Otherwise, you will be just running in the loop and never really get to the end result. For something really simple, it might take hours and days to try to troubleshoot, and it's not very efficient. So, looks like we all still have to learn a bit of computer science, learn how to code. Don't rely and have your only faith in the coding agent. Next video, we will be bringing this into the Copilot Studio, add MCP Server, and we will run our Copilot agent using this tool. See you next time.